Shall we do it?
Let's do this. So basically, you chatted with Ezra, and we've got loads of juicy tidbits, but you asked him what it was like to have new music finally out again.
It was really good. Things have been going really well so far. I mean, I'm so happy that we finally got new music out there. In some ways, giving people the first taste of the album actually is more nerve-wracking than releasing the album itself. So now that we have some music out there, I think we've kind of like broken the ice. You know, our fans know that we're back. And so we got a lot of practicing to do, got a lot of shows coming up, but it's kind of nice.
Do you kind of wipe the sweat away from your brow after you release the first single and critically everybody just jumps on it and go, you know what, that's a really, really tight new single?
Yeah, I mean, it's nerve-wracking. I think it's even nerve-wracking for a fan. You know, you're waiting to hear the first couple songs from a band's album. You're really excited, but you don't know what it's going to sound like. So definitely it's a nice first step. Of course, we're even more excited for people to hear the whole album, but I'm glad that now there's something out there.
Absolutely nothing to worry about because we're loving the double A side. Of course, our brand new sound for this week is Step, and what an amazing song it is. Can you tell us a little bit about sort of the genesis of the song, what it is actually about?
That's a song that I guess I first started kind of like just slowly writing in my head. There's this line that I heard via Souls of Mischief song that was, every time I see you in the world, you always step to my girl. We later found out that the originator of that line was a early 90s rapper from New Jersey called YZ. But there's something about that line that I always found kind of haunting. It always stayed with me, and I found myself writing these additional lyrics. And then when we started working on this record, I had all these ideas for this song, and you know, I met up with Ross and we started working on it. He started writing all these beautiful arrangements for it. And then, you know, we got the other guys together to record the drums and the bass, and it really just turned into something special. So it's one of those ones that took a long time to write, but then came together pretty quickly in the studio. It's
quite intricate in its sort of form. Like lyrically, it kind of seems a little bit stream of consciousness. There's some beautiful wordplay in there as well. Like, whereabouts are you picking up your lyrical inspiration for these days, apart from early 90s hip-hop from New Jersey?
It's always going to be a lot of early 90s hip-hop from New Jersey.
Of course.
But I'm just like, I've always been a big fan of song lyrics, period, whether it's, you know, rap or Bob Dylan or, you know, The Clash. I've always just kind of been a fan of lyrics. But you know, when working on records, I try to read books to maybe like point my mind in a certain direction to, you know, maybe get some ideas that way. But really, just like with the music, sometimes it's a matter of just kind of waiting for a little idea to pop in your head and taking notes.
I think it's a good enough time to talk about the new album because, as I said before, like I've been sort of salivating waiting for it for quite a while. The name of it's out, and I love the name. Right? It's called Modern Vampires of the City. What does that title mean? Is it just like a really cool phrase, or is it like, is there actually any meaning to it?
Sure. I mean, to us, it means a lot of different things. That was inspired by the opening lines. I guess there's a lot of inspirations on this album. That was inspired by the opening lines of this song called One Blood by Junior Reid. Some people might know him better from getting sampled by The Game a few years ago. But there's something about that phrase, Modern Vampires of the City, that when you kind of decontextualized it, it really, well, first of all, just sounded like a Vampire Weekend album title to me. Modern Vampires of the City kind of just like felt right, especially because this album has such a New York flavor. But then also, you know, kind of gets you thinking, our band is called Vampire Weekend, but we've never really been messing with the kind of Dracula type of vampires. We've always been a little bit more interested in the other metaphorical vampires. So that idea of modern vampires of the city, you know, who are the people in the world who are, you know, feeding on the blood of the innocent. That's the way you can look at it.
It's so cinematic, man. You need to sort of play on the pun of Vampire Weekend more. Like Vampire Weekend's fourth album, Awaken from the Crypt.
Yeah, maybe we could. I mean, I think when we first came out, you know, and we kind of had our like upbeat, sunny dispositions, and then it coincidentally happened to be right around the time that Twilight started popping off and Vampire Diaries and True Blood. So we were like very quick to be like, no, we don't have anything to do with vampires. So now that's kind of passed.
So effectively what you're telling me is that we were into vampires before it was cool, man.
Yeah, exactly. So we didn't want to seem like we were just like hopping on that train. But now that, you know, Twilight's over, I think we can kind of like embrace the more vampiric vibe in what we do.
I'm loving that. Right, so the third studio album, like traditionally it's one of the more experimental records. It's when a band can sort of let loose, they sort of know what they want to do. Is that the case for this new album? Is it more experimental? Is it more of the same? What would you say?
Well, you know, it's kind of both. In some ways it's our most experimental album, and in some ways it's also our most traditional. So I'm interested to see what other people make of it when they hear it. I really think, and what I mean by that is just that we feel very free now. I mean, with every album, we felt even more free just to do exactly what we want to do, and if that means doing something that, you know, hasn't been done before, strikes some people as strange, like, we really don't care. We'll just go for whatever we think sounds cool. But then on the flip side of that is that I think we've just gotten better at writing songs, and we have a deep love of just traditional pop songwriting. That, you know, that's like the form that we grew up obsessing over. So, you know, this album in some ways has just some of our most well-crafted songs. So you got kind of like both things happening.